Japan's abandoned theme parks offer a haunting glimpse into a past era. Spaces once filled with laughter, thrilling rides, and the promise of endless fun, now standing silent and overgrown. To understand how these sprawling parks went from symbols of joy and innovation to eerily frozen relics, we need to step back to the height of Japan's economic boom in the 1960s through the 1980s. During this period, Japan was experiencing rapid growth that fueled a surge in domestic tourism and leisure activities. Theme parks blossomed across the country, offering family-friendly entertainment that combined cutting-edge attractions with distinct Japanese cultural elements. One of the most iconic examples of this phenomenon was Nara Dreamland, often called Japan's answer to Disneyland. Opened in 1961, Dreamland was located near the historical city of Nara. It was inspired heavily by Disneyland in California, featuring replicas of famous rides, castles, and theme zones. For decades, it drew millions of visitors a year, especially during weekends and holidays, as families sought a break from urban life. In its heyday, Nara Dreamland was not just an amusement park, but a cultural space where Western-style fantasy blended with Japan's growing fascination with global pop culture. It offered Japanese visitors a chance to experience the magic of international amusement without leaving the country. Around the same time, Western Village opened its gates in Hokkaido, the northernmost prefecture of Japan. Western Village was designed around a Wild West theme, complete with saloons, cowboy shows, and stagecoach rides. Situated in a region known for its natural landscapes, the park aimed to transport visitors to another time and place. It tapped into Japan's fascination with foreign cultures and the romanticized image of the American frontier. Western Village created a unique niche among Japan's theme parks by marrying immersive storytelling with scenic beauty, attracting tourists who wanted both entertainment and an escape into a different world. These parks, and others like them, thrived largely because of Japan's rapidly expanding middle class and increasing disposable incomes. With people eager to enjoy their newfound prosperity, leisure destinations flourished. Theme parks were more than amusement centers. They became social venues where families bonded, friends met, and children's imaginations were sparked. They reflected the optimism of a nation on the rise, a time when modernity and tradition found common ground through shared experiences of joy and adventure. However, this golden age of theme parks was not to last forever. Economic challenges in the 1990s, including the bursting of Japan's asset price bubble, triggered a decline in discretionary spending. Parks like Nara Dreamland and Western Village, which had once been bustling and profitable, found visitor numbers dwindling as tastes and lifestyles shifted. The rise of new entertainment forms and stricter safety and operational standards also presented challenges. Gradually, some parks closed their doors, leaving behind empty rides, faded signs, and concrete shells, silent witnesses to a bygone era. This documentary will explore these deserted spaces, uncovering the stories behind their rise and fall. As the 1990s gave way to the early 2000s, Japan's once booming theme park industry faced mounting economic and social pressures that many parks struggled to survive. The burst of Japan's economic bubble in the early 1990s ushered in a long period of stagnation and cautious consumer spending. Families no longer had the same level of disposable income or leisure time to devote to weekend excursions. This shift caused attendance at many local theme parks to decline steadily. Attractions that had once brimmed with crowds slowly became quieter, hinting at the deeper financial troubles beneath the surface. One major factor was the growing competition from internationally recognized global brands. As Japanese consumers gained greater access to travel and information, their expectations for entertainment evolved. Parks like Tokyo Disneyland and Universal Studios Japan, both backed by multinational corporations with vast resources, set new standards for themed attractions and guest experiences. Their cutting-edge technology, popular licensed characters, and expansive marketing campaigns drew visitors in droves, making it difficult for smaller, independent parks to compete. While places like Nara Dreamland had built their reputations on imitation and nostalgia, newer parks embraced innovation and global appeal. Changing entertainment trends also played a crucial role. The rise of digital entertainment, including video games, mobile devices, and internet access, offered engaging and accessible alternatives to theme park visits. Younger generations, in particular, became more inclined to stay indoors or seek leisure in technology-driven environments. This cultural shift meant that physical day trips to slightly outdated parks felt less attractive, especially when the offering did not keep pace with evolving tastes. Demographic changes further impacted the industry. Japan's population growth slowed dramatically from the mid-1990s onward, accompanied by a steady decline in birth rates. With fewer children and young families, the core audience for many theme parks began to shrink. Additionally, an aging population meant that leisure priorities changed, often favoring more relaxed or less physically demanding activities. Parks that relied largely on families with young children found it increasingly difficult to draw consistent crowds. Historical photos from the early 2000s show once crowded park entrances now almost deserted, with staff numbers visibly reduced and seasonal events scaled back or canceled. Visual evidence of neglect, including rusting rides and overgrown pathways, became common. In 2006, Nara Dreamland permanently closed after decades of operation, a clear example of a park unable to adapt to the changing circumstances. Western Village in Hokkaido, too, struggled with declining visitors and eventually shut down in the early 2000s. These closures marked the end of an era for many regional parks that had sought to capture Japan's imagination during its economic rise, but could not survive the realities of modern competition and demographic shifts. At the same time, regulatory changes and rising operational costs added to the burdens faced by park operators. More stringent safety standards required costly upgrades to aging infrastructure. Insurance and liability concerns also escalated, increasing financial risks. For smaller parks operating on thin margins, these factors contributed to difficult decisions to cease operations. In many ways, the deserted amusement parks stand as silent monuments to these economic and social transformations. Despite their abandonment, Japan's shuttered theme parks have not faded completely from public consciousness. Instead, they have gained a new kind of cultural significance, one rooted in nostalgia, urban exploration, and critical reflection on Japan's shifting society. These forgotten spaces attract a diverse array of visitors, including urban explorers who document their decay, photographers drawn to the eerie beauty of rusting rides and empty midway corridors, and historians interested in preserving a record of Japan's recreational history. Urban exploration, often called urbex, has become closely tied to these parks. Adventurous visitors seek permission where possible or sometimes enter these spaces unofficially, driven by curiosity and a desire to connect with places left behind. Their photographs and videos capture the surreal juxtaposition of cheerful themes with dereliction, producing images that resonate widely online. This has helped foster renewed public interest, casting abandoned parks as poignant mementos of a different era. Moreover, their haunting atmosphere serves as a backdrop for creative works, including documentaries, art projects, and even film shoots. However, the presence of explorers and visitors raises important debates around preservation versus safety. Many abandoned parks have been subject to vandalism and unauthorized access, which complicates efforts to maintain or restore these sites. Local governments and landowners face difficult decisions about whether to demolish old structures for safety and redevelopment, or to conserve them as cultural landmarks. For some, preserving these parks offers a way to honor the memories of their communities and the economic optimism they once symbolized. Others see removing them as necessary for revitalizing land to serve current needs, such as housing or commercial developments. At present, no uniform national approach exists, leaving future use uncertain and varied, depending on location and circumstance. The question of what to do with these spaces also highlights broader social and economic trends in Japan today. The theme parks stand as physical echoes of a period marked by rapid urbanization, rising consumerism, and a confident embrace of global cultural influences. Their decline reflects changes in population demographics, shifting leisure habits, and evolving economic realities. In this way, the parks serve as tangible mirrors to Japan's ongoing transition, from rapid growth to stabilization and now to facing new pressures such as aging societies and environmental concerns. In addition, the story of these parks touches on Japan's complex relationship with modernity and cultural identity. Originally, they represented a fusion of Western-inspired fantasy filtered through Japanese sensibilities, offering escapism and communal joy. Now partially reclaimed by nature and memory, they provoke reflection about impermanence, the passage of time, and what societies value as they adapt to change. As more people discover these abandoned amusement parks, their haunting presence reminds us that progress is not always linear, and that even the most joyful places are subject to broader currents beyond their control. Whether these spaces will be restored, repurposed, or eroded into oblivion remains unresolved. Yet their continued fascination confirms that they are more than forgotten relics. They are living symbols of Japan's shifting cultural landscape, economic cycles, and the enduring human desire to create places of wonder and connection.